listening to Big World at Work.
Kai's Inquisition, The Blight of Shadowfall. Episode 7. Written and read by Tawn Krakowski. The blue-white stars blazing in the velvet onyx of the sky, and the orange coals from the banked fire, provided the only light for Kai's watch, as the twin moons, Nika and Delthiri, had not yet risen. The longboat had been turned on its side, and Jack, Brivis, and Pia now slumbered peacefully within its meagre shelter on the white sand. Chajek and Reynard had declared a truce, as they had no choice but to acknowledge that their predicament was mutual, and now patrolled the area as a team by skulking through the trees, while Kai kept vigil from within the encampment. She absently tested the point of an arrow, as her eyes wandered over the place where the dark water playfully lapped at the shore. She didn't really expect an attack from the sea, but goddess knows anything was possible. Not for the first time, Kai wished Naderu had not been so quick to claim the ocean wanderer, if only so that they could have retrieved the ship's log or a map to help narrow down their current location. Islands pockmarked the Sevestrian Ocean between Elosia and Adelam like a childhood rash. Most were too far apart to offer a route to the mainland, so determining where they were stranded would go a long way to helping them decide the best way to get off the island and continue their original journey. As Kai mulled over the possibilities, she heard a soft scuff behind her, as if someone had shifted in their sleep. She tossed a glance over her shoulder to investigate, and found Pia inexplicably standing, her eyes two milky pools of alabaster. "Pia?" Kai muttered, startled. In a rich, deep voice, clearly not her own, Pia droned, "That which was stolen must be returned." Kai carefully edged closer to her friend. "Stolen?" As she moved, the Inquisitor's fingers drew an intricate pattern in the air, crafting a spell to determine the kind of entity which had clearly taken control of Pia's body. She found nothing. Either the scholar was not possessed, or the spirit within her was immensely powerful. "Return it, else more harm will come to Naderu. The farmer who plows the tide holds the key," the masculine voice warned. Pia then crumpled to the beach like a marionette with its strings abruptly severed. "Pia!" Kai sprinted the few remaining feet that separated them. She scooped the groggy woman into her arms and looked her over for wounds or other damage. Suddenly alert, Pia said, "What are you doing? Is there danger? Get off me!" She shoved Kai away and froze when she saw the distress in Kai's features. Her eyes widened in horror, and she drew her fingers to her lips, whispering, "It happened again, didn't it?" Pia insisted that everyone be gathered together before she would say anything further about what Kai had witnessed. Thankfully, the men had heard the commotion. Chajek had come barreling into the campsite like a tiny whirlwind of melodic finery, brandishing an elegant, curved dagger that resembled a scimitar in his hands, while Reynard hid in the shadows, aiming a crossbow into their midst. Once the chaos had abated, and everyone was seated around the stoked flames crackling in the fire pit, Pia nervously wiped her hands on her purple robes, took a deep breath, and spoke. "I am an oracle. I tell you this because it is imperative that you understand that my visions are not to be ignored." "Is that what happened? You had a vision?" Kai asked. "No, and don't interrupt," Pia snapped, glaring at the dark-haired woman. Her amethyst eyes scrutinized each person before her, wordlessly demanding silence. Satisfied, she continued, "Visions from the gods are usually revealed to me in dreams. Only on a rare occasion does one attempt to speak through me, as I am not yet a strong enough vessel for the mighty presence of a deity. If I shatter, the god becomes vulnerable as a result." She addressed Kai. "When I was a child, my mother would suffer from these fits. She would speak with the voice of another, and her eyes— Pia shuddered. "Is this what you experienced?" Kai nodded, still annoyed that she had been chastised. "Then the message was intended only for you. When I am used in such a manner, I am not privy to the information I relay. You may disclose it, or not, as you choose. However, I must warn you, I cannot tell you the source, motive, or even the veracity of what was offered. I am nothing more than a herald. Now, the reason I requested to speak with all of you is that I also had a vision, and I dislike repeating myself. I saw— Pia hesitated and gazed nervously at Brivis. I saw you, crouched, battered and bloody, in a cage constructed from branches and vines, resting within a collection of crudely fashioned thatch huts. Hanging from a tree near the largest hut swung the severed eyeless head of Captain Rydal. Blood dripped from his mangled neck onto a golden statuette. Every time a drop struck the effigy, I heard Kai scream in agony. And finally, I saw the rest of us, butchered and prepared like the main course at a feast." A crushing stillness blanketed the group. Not a creature stirred. The light breeze faded to nothing, calming the sea to glass. Reynard pierced the hush. "I don't believe it. Chajek and I could never be a main course. Appetizers, maybe. Dessert, certainly, but never a main course." Jack and Kai both snorted at the halfling's humor, and the somber mood was lightened considerably. The words Pia spoke as a herald only reiterated the urgency of preventing the events in her vision, Kai announced, keeping the most cryptic portion— "The farmer who plows the tide holds the key," to herself. "But why was this warning meant only for you, then?" Chajek grumbled. Kai shrugged. "Perhaps I was simply the only one close enough to receive it," she bluffed. Inwardly, she hoped that it was the earth god aspect of Naderu that spoke through Pia, officially altering her Inquisition. But the fact that the masculine voice mentioned Naderu by name in its warning doused that optimistic fancy. Brivis combed her long red hair back from her sharp features with a swipe of her hand and sneered. "Pure fantasy. I would rather die than be caged like some common beast for the slaughter." "Choose your words carefully, Brivis," Kai growled. "Beasts are neither caged nor slaughtered in my presence. I will not tolerate your blasphemy." The elven woman laughed. "You do not frighten me, Kai of Naderu. I have seen many dangerous things in this cruel and unforgiving world, and your goddess is not one of them." "You dare?" Jack stepped between the two women, effectively cutting off Kai's heated retort. "Pia and Brivis will take their turn at watch now. We'll decide what to do at sunup." Kai glared angrily at Jack, wrestling her temper back into check with difficulty. "My shift was almost complete anyway. I could use some rest." She snatched her bow and trident from the ground, stood, and stalked off, her narrowed eyes focused only on the path before her. Once Kai was out of earshot, Jack leaned in toward Brivis. "Way to make friends." Her brows furrowed as she noticed the canvas bag at the other woman's feet. "Hey, where did you find that pack? Anything useful in there? Maybe some rope or something?" Brivis grabbed the bag and hugged it to her chest protectively. "I found it in the boat, and it's mine now. You stay away from it, or I'll kill you." Jack's forehead smoothed as she rolled her eyes. "Just asking. Sheesh. It's not like I'm trying to steal your baby or something. Oh, and just a word of advice. Don't threaten me. Ever. I guarantee you've never seen anything as dangerous as I am." Jack adjusted her armor and casually ambled away, one hand resting on her falchion.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.